So anyway, I painted in my sky around my clouds using the wet into wet technique, which helped me get some softer edges on my clouds. Then, what I tend to do is move around my painting so that while one section is drying, I can address another section of my painting and utilize my time well, okay? So I got my sky in, got my buildings in, got my basic ocean colors in, my ocean washes. So now what we're going to do is come in and try to finish this up, putting the rocks in. So I've got this main rock in the center of my piece here, and these rocks here that are sort of framing my lower left edge. And then I've got this big rock that this lighthouse and these adjacent buildings are sitting on. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is I'm basically, as I look at the rocks, they're kind of a warm, ochre, mauve-y gray. So they're pretty much an earth tone with light and shadows and some dark edges. I also have this green meadow that is running up along this ridge here. The meadow's out in front of these buildings, I'm sure, where people who inhabit those can walk, or just part of the grounds there. So what I'm going to do is use a moist paper towel here, and I'm going to wipe down my palette a little bit so I can mix some color. Don't get it too contaminated. So in this section here, I'm going to mix up sort of what I call the local color of the rocks. And that's going to be this real pale ochre mauve color. So I'm taking some yellow ochre and a little bit of red and a lot of water. Okay, think of water as your white paint. And I can test it. I can test it over here, and I see, okay, I'm going to add a little more this yellow color to it. Okay, so now I'm ready to just start to hit the lighter parts of this rock. Okay, and it's a pretty light value, essentially. Okay. I'll avoid some of the lower sections because I'm going to create some splashes down here a little bit later on, which you'll see. But in any case, I'm getting just these light areas of my rock. And a lot of times I'll soften edges so that I don't get hard edges where I don't want them. There's going to be some transitions in the rock, so I want to kind of take advantage of those. Same color is going to be going on over here in these rocks. So this is the lightest color that I'm seeing in the inside the rocks. Okay, this is what I would call the lightest local color of the rocks. So if someone were to ask you, if you were looking at those rocks, what color do you see? And I'm seeing this very pale, warm, sort of orangey ochre color. And you can shift and change it a little bit if you want, but this is the color I'm basically seeing as the primary tone of the rocks. And this is happening everywhere in all of these rocks. It's important as you paint things. It's easy to get carried away with something. For instance, if I'm looking at this rock here, ooh, I see that it's a little different than those rocks, and there's different crags and things going on here. But I have to keep in mind that my basic story here is this lighthouse and these buildings in this setting. So I don't want to get too carried away with lots of doodads and lots of stuff in my rocks. Essentially, these rocks down here are framing the piece, and they're like a secondary actor. Try to think of your painting in terms of, a movie, if you think about it. What's my main actor or actress? Who are my supporting actors or actresses? Who are my bit players? Okay, so this kind of helps you keep on track in conjunction with your value sketch and your photograph. So basically my painting's about this lighthouse at the sea, you know, at the California coast. So essentially that's what I'm trying to capture. That's what I want people to look at. That's my main thing. The rocks are interesting, but they're secondary actors. There's my main actor. My secondary actors, the ocean and the clouds, you know, my supporting actors. And then my bit players are my rocks and some of the other details. So you want to make sure that you don't get too carried away with, you know, oh, there's a crack down there and there's a seagull in the crack and there's a bug on the seagull and the bug's got these little patterns on his legs. You know, that stuff, it's easy, believe me, to get carried away with that kind of stuff, and it's just really not important. So, you know, you're always in the business of trying to simplify, you know, and the more you can simplify, the better your paintings will tend to go. And, you know, it's quite frankly, it's the kind of thing that just happens with time. You know, the more that I paint, the better I see, and the less I get invested in dumb details or details that just are not essential to the organization of the painting. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting in here with some of these colors, and I'll push them a little bit. I'm going to take some of this pink in here, cool it down a little, get just some changes so that it's not all the same. And essentially I'm establishing the local color of the rock. The darker areas of my rock I can paint right over top of this because this local color is in everything. It's in the rock. The lightest color is always already there in the rock. Then all you're doing is when you're painting in shadows or darker shapes, you're just deepening what's already there. Okay? So there you go. We got that basically in. All right. So what we got to do now is test to see what's dry. So this rock is starting to dry. So what I'm noticing now is that parts of this rock are getting a little darker. So I'm going to mix up a little darker tone using some blues and some browns. And I'm just going to come in here and hit parts of this rock that are starting to be differentiated from other parts of the rock. Again, it's my values. I'm seeing different values within, and I can suggest a little texture because these rocks are rocks. They're craggy. They've got some different shapes going on in there. Not to overdo it, just getting some changes going on in here so that it looks like a rock. Got some of that. Okay, and we're going to get some of this over here too.